Hi, welcome back to another episode of the AFF Podcast, all for females in affiliate and partner marketing. I'm delighted to be joined this week by a friend, a industry titan, in my opinion, a fellow consultant, and somebody who I have really enjoyed getting to know over the past few years. I almost worked with her at one point in time, but the stars just didn't align. But I'm very lucky that we have been able to stay in contact. Thank you so much for joining me this week, Anne Hand.
Thanks. Thanks for having me. Thanks for doing this. I was just thinking this morning, for those that can't go to conferences like PI Live or, Dealmaker coming up, this is a nice outlet to get to know new people. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Happy to. Thank you very much for joining me. You and I have been kind of part of this little group of people who have been very open in sharing with each other and working together. And I think that that is one of the things that I absolutely love about this industry, but like, especially our little group of friends, because not only are we full of chaos and weirdness, we're also very, very helpful with each other and very supportive. And this is one of the ways that you're showing up for me, and I really appreciate that. Um, let's figure out how you got started in affiliate. I know that you began at a coupon site as a publisher. You've worked in-house at brands and you've worked on the agency side. When I was talking to Amy last week, she's worked on four sides of the industry. And we find that a lot of people have done one or two, but really to have done three or more is kind of wild. But how did you get started in affiliate?
Yeah, I love hearing this. So I love that you open with these questions. I love it. So let's take it back to I think I was like 28. I was working in marketing in the architecture and engineering industries, and it was so boring. And I think that's what you do in your 20s. You figure out what you like and don't like.
Right.
And I did not like doing that type of marketing. And I was about to get married. I was unemployed, so a real winner bride. But I found this internship and I just moved to like a new city, so I didn't have any work connections. But I found an internship at Fat Wallet.
Mhm.
Had no idea what a coupon site was. It blew my mind that you could shop online and like use cashback or coupons. So I applied, I got the internship. And yeah, I spent 2 years there learning what a text link was. I managed their blog and also their social media. So it was super fun. I still hold that as like one of my favorite jobs in the industry because I still talk to all those people. Like 12 years ago, we still see each other. I hired some of them. Like it's just great. So yeah.
Those establishing jobs are so fun. I mean, obviously, mine was the broadcast bride was that for me. That's how I met everybody. But same, like there are people that I met with BAB or who were contributors on the broadcast bride who I still talk to on a regular basis, and like we're on Instagram together and it's really cool. I mean, everybody's doing something completely different now, but it's cool that we've been able to maintain that relationship and that contact.
Yeah. Yeah. And then after Fat Wallet, I just moved in-house to Sears and Kmart. I actually didn't start on their affiliate team first. I started on their deal side. And it was so interesting because, well, for one, I needed a job. Like things didn't work out with Fat Wallet. But it was cool. We got to learn how deals got loaded in the cart. We're working with the merchandising teams. But I knew I always wanted to get back to affiliate. So Lauren Platt, love her, she was managing the Kmart program. She left. And so I saw the opening and I kid you not, it was the week of Black Friday. I went to my manager and I was like, hi, like I'm gonna go work on the affiliate team now and I just need your blessing. And he's like, okay. So so I did. I got back into affiliate, and it was cool. I always say my time at Sears and Kmart was like an explosion, like a college degree in affiliate, because we were dealing with different budgets. We were dealing with these big name publishers. It was my first time working with CJ, like our account team. So learning how they operate and how a network operates. So I really loved my time there. And then I took everything that I learned from Sears and Kmart and took it to agency life. Really, my motivation was to find a flexible job too. I was a new mom and saw this opportunity to create an affiliate division at a predominantly large search agency, and I ran with it. Um, yeah, I spent the last 5 years kind of building out Tenuity's affiliate practice. And that's where we came into to kind of get to know each other. But that was a wild ride as it was too, like figuring out operations and statement of works and sales, something I hate, but we all had to do. And yeah, and it leads me to where I am today. You kind of build upon those different experiences and for the past 2 years, I've just been consulting and working with different brands in the space.
Yeah, it must be such a swing to go from like such a big corporate structure like Sears, Kmart, or Tenuity, and
Mhm.
then like to you.
Yeah, I
Like, you're
know.
pitching it on your own. Like it's almost like emotional and mental whiplash, a little bit. But how has that transition been for you? I mean, I know, you and I are both working moms. We both work from home. We're both very involved in school drop off, pickup, and et
Mhm.
cetera. But how has that really changed for you going from like corporate, working for somebody else to just working for yourself?
Yeah, I think there's for one, it's the physicalness of juggling, jumping on calls and grabbing kids here and there. Like it took me a good 6 months. I was super burnt out when I left my agency. It took me a good 6 months just to like be okay with an empty calendar because you're constantly on that hamster wheel of like jumping from Zoom to Zoom. And I had like one call a week and I was like, this is so weird. So I sat in that uncomfortableness for a very long time. And then you lose like your identity thing. You're like, oh, I'm supposed to be this type of person. And it's realizing like it's okay to do what you want to do, even if that's one client, one call a week, it's okay. So it's been a transition,
Mm.
but after you get over that initial hump of changing any type of job, like it's good. It's all good.
Good, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that transition's definitely interesting, the going from like working for other people and meeting their expectations and their needs, and then, all of a sudden being like, oh, it's my expectations and my needs that I have to meet. That can be really daunting in a way that I wasn't anticipating when I first started it. And sometimes motivation is hard to come by,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But that's really where it's like you either have to just get it together and do it or go to work for somebody else again. And no, thank you.
Yeah, and I will say that we are both like people too, people. And that's why I reached out to you, is because I knew you were kind of doing something similar, as well as other little friends in our circle. And even if we had time to hop on like once a month or once every 2 months, like I still need to see faces and talk to people and say, like, what are you doing? Like, does this make sense? Or just bounce ideas off each other. So it was nice to get a mini circle, even if you're working for yourself.
Yeah, I agree. I think that having that mini circle, and especially with like a kind of our group, where we do try to get together once a month,
Mhm.
though we're awful at it.
I
Um,
know.
but we do have like our Slack channel that we're constantly talking in. I think that that's really helpful in kind of that motivational, I mean, how many times have we gotten on and been like, oh my God, it's Monday, and somebody's like, get it together, just get it done, and it's like that does help having a little bit of motivation, but also people that you can unload on, I know that we've had some hurdles with like publishers or fees or whatever. And it's like when you are working solo, it's hard to navigate those by yourself. But when you have kind of a community, to be like, who's dealing with this and how have you approached it? That level of support is really helpful. So speaking to that, what are some challenges that you've seen as you've moved into working on your own that were easier to navigate when you had like bigger tech, solutions or capital or whatever? And how have you been able to kind of overcome that?
Yeah, I think the obvious is just like the tools, when you're with a large company or agency, like you are not, I mean, the company's paying for those tools. So you miss kind of that aspect. And then a lot of the travel too, like you're paying out of pocket for conferences. So you have to really weigh the pros and cons of everything. Like, can I pay for this hotel? Can I get this ticket comped? Like a lot of that stuff. Um, Other challenges I've faced is I think around when you're working at either a network or an agency, you get to see the bigger portfolio and trends. So when you're working for yourself or you're only managing a certain small amount of brands, you don't know if this is a trend or not. You're like, is this just this one niche and this one brand? Whereas you have that insight to the bigger picture. So I think working and talking with people like yourself and me, like you get those answers a little bit more clear. But yeah, I mean, there's lots of things that you can miss, but it's also great, being on the other side of things.
It is true. So you became a mom kind of during your affiliate experience, as I did. And I believe we have kids kind of similar ages.
Yeah, yeah,
So talk to me about being a mom and working during the pandemic, because I know that that was something that has been hard for so many people. I know for me, it was a huge struggle. And I also was under different scrutiny from clients because I'm managing my kid plus my job. How
yeah.
did you face similar challenges?
Yeah, even before the pandemic, I struggled because I knew we had one kid. It was easy peasy.
And
Um,
then,
I know my oldest right now is 8, but when I started the agency, I 6 months in, I mean, we knew we wanted to have another child. I found I was pregnant with twins, and so that kind of rocked our world, but it also rocked how am I going to show up at work? I'm pregnant with twins. Then I'm going to have the kids. Am I still going to work? So that was really hard for me to kind of get through. The pregnancy, yeah, that was a hot mess. But like anything, you just push through and it's a new day, new week. But then the pandemic hit and all hell broke loose. The month of April, my husband works in the education system, so that all shut down and he was home with me and we're trying to at some point it was almost like meeting Jenga, like whose meeting is more important, like I need to go in the office and no I need to be on this call. So that was such a challenge too, is everyone's job and call is important, but yeah, and then you're so burnt out doing activities and
like literal toddlers running around behind you while you're trying to like manage client calls. And yeah, I mean, do you feel like you've faced extra scrutiny because you have been like a mom who works at home with their kids home at times?
No, not, I haven't seen it. Like, I was very grateful to work for an agency that supported really good, like, family work, life balance and all that. But I am more so internalized it. Like, I remember clearly my kindergartner was home. Thankfully, the twins were still at, daycare, but I loved having my kindergartner home after school. Like, I didn't put them in, post care or whatever. And he came in, he was like, "Hey mom, can I have some more popcorn?" It was just like a simple ask. And he was great. He was so patient. He'd watch his little shows. And I just like snapped on him. And I'm like, who am I? Like, it's more so I think that we put it on ourselves. Whereas the person that I was on the call with, they could care less. They would be like, all right, go get a popcorn. Like, we can actually drop the call right now. So yeah, I think it's more so working through, like you said, your own expectations and how you show up.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely there were moments where I would do the same thing with Dexter, and I always felt bad about it, but at the same time, like I was like, I'm working, like I'm working, and nobody's going to interrupt my husband at work like this.
Mhm.
And like so there were moments of like balance and kind of like why is it that my job is the one that gets interrupted? And I know it's because I work from home, and I like that's the price I pay for flexibility and all of that. But at the same time, I'm also under the scrutiny of like my bosses or my clients or whatever.
Yes.
And I've had clients in the past who have been like, I don't think she's capable of doing the job and like while her kid's home, which is insane ridiculous, hate that.
Yes.
But it does create that level of pressure of like I really need to show up for my job, whereas now that I'm working for myself, I'm showing up for my kid.
Yeah.
So and I think that that's important, but it's good to also to have that self-awareness of like, oh man, it is an expectation
Yeah.
I'm putting on myself.
One of the things that I was proud of that, when I came back from my maternity leave with the twins, felt like I needed another community. Like we did not have a working mom Slack group at my agency. It was just like a parents group.
Mhm.
And, you need to just get the girls and, we
Yeah.
need to be down, right? Like moms get it. So I asked HR, I was like, can we create a mom Slack group? And they were like, yeah, we don't see why not. So we created it and we had over 100 moms after I left. And people would post, and I think it was great too for people that held executive positions to share and be vulnerable. hey, I'm having a really hard working day. Like my kid's sick and home today, and I'm have to lead this presentation. And it showed those, account managers that, wow, like they struggle just like I struggle. So those are one of the things that I was proud of that, we created this mini community in this bigger agency.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Yeah. And I mean, it is, especially with executives, because it can seem so impersonal at
Mhm.
times, and to understand that there are people too,
Yeah.
be so grounding. And yeah, that's fantastic. Um, what ways do you think the affiliate marketing industry could be a little bit more equitable, whether that's for, women or working parents or, anybody? Like we see a huge discrepancy. Obviously, I've touched on it a number of times where we see a lot of men in the C-suite positions and a lot of women more at kind of the account manager level. And there always seems to be a little bit of a blocker. But then also, with working parents, like it just seems like moms take on a lot of the moms that I see in the affiliate industry take on parenting as well as working, whereas we don't necessarily see that as much from some of the men.
Yeah. I saw it occasionally in certain departments. So I do think the affiliate industry is heavy female dominated. Like you said, we see them in the account managers and the support. But I see it a lot in certain departments at certain companies, either that's the client, the network, publishers. In my own experience, I felt it a lot from our sales department. So there's a lot of guys, the bro sales guys that are just trying to close the deals. And I would challenge them a lot. Like I would tell them either that pricing's outrageous or that client's just not a good fit. We're not going to take them on. And they would challenge me back. And we would have it was a healthy conflict conversation. But then I also felt like they would go above me to my male manager to like, hey, she's not playing nice in the sandbox. And then I would have a conversation with my manager, and he always came from a good place, but I did always feel like they wouldn't take you serious. Like again, you're not playing along, and we're gonna close this deal so I get my commission. So yeah, I struggled a lot with that. And then add on the kid aspect, and I would get calls from our sales guys as I'm trying to go through the drive-through with my kids, like, I can't talk to you right now. I'm trying to get my kid his unhealthy Taco Bell. But I will talk to you tomorrow morning when business hours.
Don't talk about Taco Bell like that. I love it. That's actually my airport, like my post-airport meal. Every time I come back from a trip, I have to go to Taco Bell. Do you have a post-airport meal?
I don't. I mean, they used to have these really good ranch tacos I loved, and they always like get rid of the good stuff.
Why? Why?
I don't know. But yeah,
Who has been your biggest inspiration or role model in the industry?
I would say, I would say a lot of the peers that I worked with,
Okay.
like
Yeah.
I look up to a lot of my peers. Um, and I take different ones from each job. And I still text with them if I have a question about something. If we can't meet in person, like in a conference or just meet up for breakfast, I'll text them and say, hey, like didn't we work on this? Or what do you think about this person? Just to like get feedback.
Mhm.
I do have a mentor that worked in the digital marketing space, not so much affiliate, but she helps women. Tenuity actually like hooked me up with her, which was great after my twin maternity leave. And she was like my Oprah. Like we would meet and I was like, how does this work? Like, how does this mentorship thing work? And she's like, we just meet once a week and you tell me some problems and I'll help you out. And she taught me a great philosophy called the for now mentality.
Mhm.
And it's really about if you're feeling like you're in a hard spot or you have a hard client or a hard boss, just remember those two words for now. Like, this is just for now. Like, things change all the time. And I just kept repeating that in my head. Like, especially if you're going through tons of meetings, you are dealing with that difficult client or salesperson. And then you come home to a hot mess at home. This just for now, things can change. And we still chat. Like she called me a couple weeks ago about something, and she's such a good friend. Her name's Barbara Palmer. Go look her up. She helps a lot of executive women, and as well as she has a program called the Fourth Trimester, where she helps women kind of reintegrate into work after having babies.
Yeah. Yeah, that's that transition is hard. I mean, I took 1 week of maternity leave. Yeah, it
What?
was, well, there was a lot going on with the blog at the time. Like I was literally in the middle of a huge campaign with Cricket, and it was something that like I was doing, not anybody else on the blog. And so I had to like have the deliverables on that, and then we were preparing at the time to sell potentially, which we never did. But it was there was just so much work that needed to be done, and um, because I worked from home, it was just 1 week, I just didn't have, plus, I mean, just income wise, I couldn't really risk taking the time off. We were so focused on sponsorship money and affiliate income, that it was really just a lot of work that I was doing, that I couldn't back off from it. But again, luckily I work from home and I have for the longest time. So, but yeah, that I've heard from a lot of people who have taken real maternity leaves that reintegration is really difficult. So it's amazing that there's that support out there. That's fantastic. We need more things like that. Um,
Whoa.
so speaking of mentorship, how do you mentor or support other women in the affiliate industry?
Well, now that I'm working just for myself, it's harder, right? Because like you're not working, at my agency, I would hire coordinators or junior account managers, and I would just make sure to meet with them still if I didn't directly manage them. And it's really hard. But I think just doing things like this, like getting your voice out. I know when you're younger, you're shy and nervous to reach out to maybe people that are older in this industry. But it's important. So yeah, I wish I could do more. I just currently am not.
I mean, one of the ways that you've helped me, is you introduced me to one of my team members, Jane, who I love,
Yes.
absolutely love her. And she's been great. But I would say, like, even that is one of the ways that you have definitely supported people, or, even like introducing brands or like introducing, other people who just are a fit, or like you made a suggestion for a guest on the
Yeah.
podcast, like I would say, so don't, down talk yourself. I'd say that you do a lot to help support other women in the industry.
I,
Um,
I will say if someone ever reaches out to meet with me, I will probably never say no. Like as long as it fits in the calendar and I have the time, like I will meet with you just to meet you and get to know you. And I've had a lot of those meetings with people that I worked with at Tenuity that just wanted to catch up. And usually there is some benefit. I mean, there's some networking there. You might know somebody or help them out or they help you. But yeah, I will never not meet with anybody.
that's one of the great things about this industry and how it's so relationship based is that like you never know when you're going to come across somebody that's like, oh man, there is so much we could do together, or like that one person that you've just been kind of keeping in the periphery a little bit will end up being like a major player, and I think that the people who focus on that, like yourself, really are the ones that kind of come out on top. We always make sure to not burn bridges or do anything of that sort, but just always being willing to be willing, I
Yeah,
think is how people really kind of move forward in this industry.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. What are some of your favorite resources for kind of staying up on what's going on in the industry, what's going on with, trends and KPIs, and I mean, there's AI, like all of the things. What are your go-tos?
Um, there are some days where I can get lost in all that, and then I'm like, what did I do today? What did I do today? Like, not client work. Um, so
It's gently client work.
yes, Dustin and you have been good about that. Like, it does, if you are learning something and you can bring it back to your client, you are doing your work.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I can get, I mean, I love Martech Record. Obviously, that connected us a lot more, but there's a lot of good people that share articles or resources. I'm signed up to a ton of like newsletters that I feel like I get. I do not do a lot of reading, like actual book reading, which I need to be better about. But yeah, just scrolling LinkedIn. I have a love-hate with LinkedIn. And I remember talking to one of my old clients, and he was like, think of it as like an educational resource. Like the moment you get on your feed, you could be learning something. Someone could be posting a good resource for you. So I have been trying to take that angle, like think of LinkedIn as another resource to use. Yeah.
I love LinkedIn. Well, I also have a love-hate relationship with LinkedIn. I love it because it's such a good way to connect with people.
Yeah.
But it is just another social network. Like,
Great.
That's all it is.
Um,
And there are times when I see stuff on there and I'm like, oh my God, you're gonna make my head explode. And I feel like I'm on Facebook. And then there's other times when I'm on there and I'm like, holy cow, this is so cool. I can't believe that like I haven't heard of this before. So I feel you. I
no,
feel
I
you.
really want to like, there has to be a tool where you, because I will get on my feed and I'm like, who is this person?
Yeah.
How are we connected? What? So I just want a tool where I can like scrape all the people I don't know and just stick with the peeps I do know, or I will continue to work with. Like, I don't need tons of connections.
So you've worked with some really cool big brands over the years. Do
Yeah.
you have any campaigns that really stick out as like your absolute favorite that you've worked on?
There have definitely been some flops and some winners. Funny enough, one of my favorite brands that I did work with when I first started at Tunity was Terminex. So
Mhm.
bugs,
Yeah.
bugs, so gross. But it was really the people. And isn't that really it? It's the people behind the brands that you're supporting. If they're good people, like it just makes the experience so much better. One campaign that I found really fun last year was I worked on Lifelines, which
Mhm.
was Melissa and Doug, the toy company.
Yes. Yeah.
She sold her company and she created Lifelines, which was more like sensory objects,
Mhm.
really cool writing tools. But I got to meet Melissa and Doug.
That's cool.
And she was so sweet. And we did a campaign. They predominantly sold on Amazon. And so we were prepping for their Amazon Prime sale. And we were trying to think of different affiliates that can help support that. And obviously, creators were a huge one. But we found this one creator and she had a Facebook deal group. And in my mind, I'm like, those aren't a thing anymore. Like nobody goes on Facebook. And this is just me thinking of how I operate.
Yeah.
People don't go on Facebook deal pages. So we tried it and she blew it out of the water. Like she sold a ton of these products. And so I learned something with them. I'm like, actually, these Facebook mom deal pages are still a thing.
Is wild.
Yes. Like, and this creator couldn't have been any better. Like she was so sweet. And again, a working mom just trying to, and her side hustle obviously like turned into something way bigger. But that was a really cool one that I loved.
Oh, I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah, Facebook deal groups. I feel like it seems archaic.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, really, the only reason I go on Facebook anymore is to kind of check in on like my boomer parents and uncles and stuff, if I'm being completely honest. And so I don't often think of it as a place
Yeah.
that's still like thriving,
Right.
the deal
Yeah.
group area. So that's really good to know. That's wild.
Yeah. I
Uh,
think her name is Loved by Jen. You guys should check her out. She sells a lot of cool things, like mainly in the lifestyle category, but yeah.
I love it. I love it. What is your affiliate marketing superpower?
A good question. Um, I would say, um, I love chatting with people, either at conference or on this. And I feel like if I can feel like the conversation is getting bad, like I could, especially on client calls, I feel like my client calls, the way I run them, we talk like 20 minutes straight non-work, and then we'll fit in our 10 minutes of work biz. Because I just like to like have fun. And this is like, let's talk about the show you're watching or your dogs or I don't what you ate for breakfast. It's just more fun to have a better conversation. Life is short. So I think that's my superpowers. I could just yeah, have a good conversation. I don't know.
Yeah, be relatable. I mean,
Yes.
I feel like that's such an important skill too. There's this book called A Dragon Walks into a Client Meeting or something along those lines, that talks a lot about like the deposits and withdrawals in relationships.
Mhm.
I think that having those kinds of conversations, just lighthearted chit chat is such a huge deposit in all
Yeah.
meetings, and it keeps it so that like you remember that you're talking to a person and that
Uh-huh.
person is also talking to a person, because we can get so stuck on the KPIs and the deadlines and this and that that we forget that like, oh yeah, the White Lotus season finale and you watch it too, and like or oh yeah, this is the week that you're in Spain and doing stuff with your family or whatever. And the more you can kind of bring that reality back to a
Yeah.
client meeting, the more I think that always helps the relationship, regardless of how kind of the work is going, you know. I've
Yeah.
certainly had amazing client relationships and had a struggling program, but because we had that rapport, rather than being like, oh God, we're going to end this now, it's like, hey, let's continue to work through it. And, it builds trust and credibility too.
Absolutely. And I will say, if you guys you had like a superpower, you asked that. I think a lot of people don't know what their strengths and weaknesses. I mean, you kind of know, but you don't know. And when I was at Tenuity, I took this really good assessment. It was like one of those personality things, spits out your strengths and weaknesses. I think it was Clifton Strengths, and everything that came out like focused on affiliate. It was like relationship connector, harmonizer with between people, like whatever those things mean. But I was like, yep, this is why I'm in the industry I'm in.
You really can't not be a people person to some extent in this industry. I find the people who are the most withdrawn are the ones that have a harder time, just kind of thriving, I guess, because
Yeah.
you have to put yourself out there, very much so.
Yeah, for sure.
And I also think it's funny because there's, like I know you and myself and a couple of our other friends are very much extroverted introverts. Like we
Hmm.
can bubble down as much as we need to, but the second that we have to be on, we can also be on and do
Yeah.
it really, really well. And I think that's such an interesting kind of way to be, but such a typical personality within this space too.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Um, what is your favorite part about being an affiliate?
Um, I think this, like the fact that we get to sit at home and like
Yeah,
wear comfy overalls and like
I
I
almost wore overalls today too.
oh my God, you should have. Obviously the flexibility. Like my husband works in the educational industry, like so he's going into schools and buildings, and I just, a lot of the work that we do is on the computer. So the flexibility is great, especially for working moms. And I also love to shop online. On the publisher side, I remember we would get all the sneak peeks of like brands, promos, and deals. And I was like, ooh, and you get to know like certain weeks when to shop cash back. And so I do like that little insider kind of tip as a customer or consumer. But yeah, it's just the flexibility, the cool people like yourself.
What advice would you give to women looking to break into this industry?
Um, I would say speak up and be a little like don't be so nervous. Like, because that's who I was. I was so quiet. I was afraid to talk to like the big wigs. Like, I remember I reached out to Sarah Bundy when I was at Tenuity, and I didn't even know what to write in a LinkedIn message. I was like, do you just want to meet for coffee and meet? Like, you have to, put yourself out there and connect with people, and be loud, have a voice. Don't be, it's okay to be quiet, but I think it's also important to voice yourself if something doesn't feel right with you.
Yeah, don't be afraid to take up space.
Yeah.
Because there's enough space for all of us. What is
Hmm.
one piece of advice you wish you had received earlier in your career?
Um, one feedback that I would get that I got a few times in my like reviews was, and I don't, again, you're like, I don't know if I agree with this. It's hard to take feedback, right? Was I was too nice. I was too passive. I was too nice. I wasn't direct, like I'm giving the advice here, but I remember being in meetings and my manager at the time was like, I'm playing bad cop with this publisher. You can play nice cop. And I'm like, okay. But I still was like, I don't think that's a right way to treat people.
Yeah.
So I get it if you want to be bad cop, but I don't think there's something wrong with being nice to people. So I don't know. I mean, yes, I think we should all, like we just were saying, speak up and be more direct, but yeah, you don't have to be an a-hole.
No, I think it's okay to be nice. I mean, you
Yeah.
can get your point across and still be nice. One of the things that when I drop Dexter off in the mornings at school, we have like a little like rundown of things, like listen and learn, pay attention, all of that. And the last thing I always say is lead with kindness. And I will say that that is one thing that has stuck with him really well, but it's also something that I very much try to practice. And being mean doesn't get you anywhere at all.
You're
It's
going to see those people again at conferences. Like we will all see each other again and maybe different roles or different companies, but like don't burn bridges, right?
being mean is not the flex you think it is by
No.
any stretch. Being exclusionary is not the flex you think it is. And I think that, I mean, that's one of the things too, the nice people are the ones who are going to share everything,
Yes.
gatekeep or like are going to be welcoming in situations. And the people who are going to gatekeep aren't going to thrive as much because, when you're stingy with your stuff, people are going to be stingy with you too. There's a whole lot of reciprocation and give and take. And I find that if you lead with kindness, if are nice, then you're going to get that coming back at you a lot.
For sure.
What's your hype music?
Oh my gosh. It's all over. I mean, I was watching some Coachella videos and I was like, who are these people? Like, who are these people? I mean, I am straight 90s. Whitney, even like Nirvana, like Pearl Jam, like I am a like my mix is all over. But yeah, I feel so old.
Yeah, I don't know who anybody is anymore, honestly. Honestly, honestly. What skills do you think are essential for long-term success in affiliate marketing? I know might seem a little bit redundant because we've said
Yeah.
communication a lot, but beyond that.
Um, I think like this is so cliche to say, but like just be curious and open. Like we in affiliate, we are so programmed to think certain ways. And I think you have to be open to testing. And I've learned this myself since leaving, the agency corporate life is testing new platforms. I don't like TikTok. I know you're a TikTok gal. But I had to learn TikTok shopping for affiliate. And it was hard because I'm just like, God, I hate this. Like these creators are so weird. But you have to be open to learning and trying new things.
Well,
Yeah.
and you've done that. Like you were one of the first people I know to really be working with like Levanta and Partner Boost, and kind of
Yeah.
exploring that side with like Amazon affiliates. What kind of learnings did you pick up from working with those platforms?
For one, I think we also have to think of where do we shop? Like I shop a lot on Amazon. It's very rare if I check out on a website if there's free shipping or like I'm a straight up affiliate customer too. Like you got to give me my codes and all that stuff. But I realized quickly that this Amazon thing was becoming bigger. And so it's been interesting to see all the changes that has went into that. There's not only are we thinking with brands on their D2C sites or programs, we're recommending like launch on Amazon, launch on TikTok, launch on YouTube. Like there's so many places they can create a program. But I learned, at least on the Amazon side of things, I've learned which type of publishers that kind of work well, which categories work well. It's very hard. I've picked up on the apparel side of things because people are so brand snotty and when you buy clothes off Amazon, like you're looking for certain styles and brands. So some sellers won't work out. But yeah, and it's changing constantly. Like Amazon can change rules and attribution rules like nothing.
Yeah.
So constantly staying on top of things and chatting with people that are probably smarter than you too. Like, what does this agreement mean? And if not, putting in Chat GPT and helping them figure it out for you is great.
Yeah, yeah. That's definitely an area where I've learned a lot from you, and just, kind of hearing and seeing what you've been doing. And I think that's really cool, especially because it's all going to evolve, continue.
Yeah,
And I mean, it hasn't stopped evolving. Like it used to just
right.
be a few single platforms and a couple like maybe tech solutions, and now it's like everybody has their own affiliate program. Everybody isn't Instagram launching something like some
Oh,
sort of no, I don't know.
sure. Yes, they are. I don't know.
Um, yeah, I think that really like as you said earlier, kind of like being willing to learn, that is a huge step in being able to understand all of the different ways that kind of the industry and the platforms are moving forward. And in that vein, what do you think the next big innovation in our industry is going to be?
Um, I think we're going to see more, and this is just because I've been taking more publisher calls and learning about their performance models. I think we're going to see a lot of different publisher types that are integrating more of this AI into their systems. I met with a girl last week that they want to become the next Google Shopping, and everything's AI driven and all the recommendations are, I mean, you're talking to a robot, but maybe this robot is smarter than a human. We don't know.
That's so
But
funny because in my episode with Amy last week, we were talking about shopping because she has a conference coming. We were talking about conference fits, and I said I want like a sequin suit. That's like my next big conference goal is to find a perfect sequin suit. But I'm a short round. I'm 5'2",
yeah.
um, and finding stuff that fits well on my body is really difficult. So it sounds like that could be literally the perfect solution for me.
Yeah. So I think yeah, just different publisher types. And I know AI is the buzzy word, but it is because it's becoming more and more integrated in different platforms.
Yeah, absolutely. If you had to predict the state of affiliate in 2030, what do you think it would look like?
Um, I think I don't think a lot of things is going to change. I mean, obviously, when new publishers, like we just said, are going to pop up. I would love to see some of the networks in the technology that we work with go public,
Yeah.
get some big news on it. I would love to see that. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going to be in 5 years. I don't know.
That's fair.
So once I figure that out, I'll let you know.
Okay. Keep me posted. You know where to find me.
Yeah.
What do you think the biggest challenge that you've overcome in the industry is?
Um, I think one I'm facing personally right now is budget dollars.
Mm,
Um, it's been hard, right? Like the tariffs that are coming or we think are coming, we don't know. It's really affecting how brands are doing business and how they're hiring and their budgets, even an affiliate, where sometimes it's unlimited because it's a CPA model. They're not spending as much with publishers, and the money that you do get, you too are want to deliver, and it's hard to spend dollars with either a creator that has a high, like we were chatting, a high rate, or with a content publisher that you're really not sure if you're going to get the return because they've been affected by all the Google changes. So it's just getting back to being creative and trying to be strategic on where you put their dollar to meet their goals too.
yeah. The changes, I would say that really since kind of the pandemic, like everything
Mhm.
has been in a level of disarray within affiliate. Because obviously, like that, the pandemic was a huge boost for us because everybody was shopping online. I mean, we saw so many brick and mortars close just to move to D2C. And then, there's kind of the recovery from that where numbers changed a little bit, but not really. And we started seeing like trends trending up in certain categories, trending down in others. And then, yeah, like the election cycle last year, everybody was a little bit trepidatious about that. And that came in at the same time as the Google updates, which yeah, for everybody. And now, yeah, we've got the tariffs plus the addition of, kind of still recovering from those Google updates. And I agree. I mean, the budget dollars is really important, but I think that we are also stepping back into this area where we have to be more keenly aware of how it's not just conversions, but it's also brand awareness, and like really looking at it from much larger of a top of funnel experience and not necessarily equating dollars spent to dollars earned, but really like what's the overall halo effect
Mhm.
and convincing brands that it's worth it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I know. It's one thing that one of my clients invested in that I love. They invested in an influencer network. So ShopMy, who's
Yeah.
doing great right now in our
Love
industry.
shop.
But
Love shop my.
yeah, and it's really cool because just had this conversation today on a client call. They have a big branding retreat with their creators in upstate New York somewhere going on this week. And we are seeing a direct correlation between those creators that are sharing their Shop My links and then it's translating into revenue, you know? So even if they're investing in the rental of the retreat place and they're giving free gifts out for product, that's something substantial that we can show back to their leadership team that these things do, these branding events actually translate into revenue dollars. So it's
That's a
cool.
really cool activation too. Like,
Yeah.
and it makes, thinking back to when I was a blogger, having those moments, like a brand really kind of investing attention uh,
Mhm.
on you builds that brand affinity for that long-term partnership. So, I mean, that's a really smart thing for that brand to do for sure.
Yeah.
Instead
Yeah.
of be on the retreat with them.
Oh my God, I know. We're like, why don't we get to do that? We're moms. It's like a Mother's Day retreat. We're like, we're moms too.
Moms too.
I want a nice robe and a massage.
Please, can you do that. We should just do our own retreat.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I know which brand you're talking about, I think. And I know that you've had some hurdles with them a little bit because they are a non-discounting brand and they really
Yeah.
they do watch their dollars super closely, but they're also a high end item, a bigger ticket kind of luxe item. Um, what has been one way that you've been able to kind of move forward with them without looking at things like discounting or promos? And how has that worked for you?
Yeah. So the brand that I work with, they are a really well-known pajama brand, but their AOV is over $200. So it is hard to, they don't give out a lot of discount codes or creator codes. But one area we saw success was loyalty. So Rakuten is one of their top partners. And I love that Rakuten has been doing more with the luxury space. I'm not sure where they are with, they had some beta last summer around just luxury brands, but I think what helps is showing that data is that a lot of their new customers that come in, they still want that discount via cashback if they
Yeah.
can't code. And even the lifetime value on those Rakuten customers are not just a one and done. They're coming back for a second and third purchase. So they're very valuable to the brand. So that's helped a lot. And it's hard. I mean, I think affiliate gets a bad rap when you're especially working with a luxury brand because they have those stereotypes. So I think just taking the next step, and even if it's just testing with one loyalty partner and just saying, let's just start small, let's start here, and then start to see that data come in and just build that trust, like you said, helps a ton.
Yeah, that having a luxury brand that doesn't discount and thinks affiliate is only about discounting can be a really difficult kind of situation to push back against. So I love that you found that solution because it's true. Consumers, regardless, I mean, A, we've trained them to look for discounts. That's just what we've done over the years. But B, consumers want the best value for their buck. I mean, I've always said I'm like the ideal consumer because I do shop discounts. I do shop loyalty for, the cash back. I also read blogs. I also read, reviews. Like I'm a TikTok shopper. Like
I
I'm
know.
literally the ideal consumer. And so just kind of understanding, even if you are a luxury brand, that doesn't mean that your consumers aren't looking for some level of a deal or some level of cash back. I know so many people who only shop luxury brands, but also only shop luxury brands if they have, some of that loyalty aspect, even if it's like a CLO, and get
Yes.
their cash back on their credit card. That's just a different type of loyalty. So being
Mhm.
open and being willing to be willing once again is
Yeah.
always going to be helpful.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, let's wind this down a little bit. One of my favorite questions to ask is when you're getting ready for a conference, and I know it's been a minute since you've gone to a conference, but
Yeah.
when you're getting ready, what is your conference fit vibe?
I love that. Um, when I have gone to my last conference or any of the past ones, I've always felt super intimidated. Like everyone looks so fashionable and they're wearing heels and like everyone's so pretty and skinny. And I'm like, I just remember feeling very intimidated. But obviously, as age, you want to be comfortable. A good jean jacket is great because sometimes they're blasting the AC in those conference rooms. But I love doing like a newly, like those subscription boxes where you like try before you buy. Because yeah, you could wear a cute $160 dress and send it back, and then you're good.
So smart. I really should start doing it.
Yeah.
And then what is your favorite form of self-care?
Love a good walk. I think I do two a day. I have two big dogs, so they're literally, I could hear him panting outside the door right now. Like just mental health walk, listen to music. I think just being alone too. Like when the boys get home, it is loud in this house.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I mean, it is now we're fighting over hoverboards. Like it's loud and they're all boys, so it's crazy. So I think just the quietness of a workday is soothing. But yeah, walks usually.
I love a good walk. We live close enough that I can walk Dexter to and from school. And so I had that built into my day. But like the walk to school is kind of like my after work decompression period. And the walk from school when I drop them off is like, get ready for your day. And I love that time. Honestly, a lot of it is spent on TikTok, but
Yes. Or doom scrolling. Like I love a good bath and some doom scrolling. Like at the end of the day, it's great.
yeah, absolutely. Well, Anne, thank you so, so much for joining me this week. Thank you for being such a good friend and supporter. I think that you have contributed so many valuable things to just the conversations that you and I have. So I really, really, really appreciate that. I appreciate you taking the time to come on today. I know that, we're busy and it's not always easy to do this, but I so appreciated this conversation this
Yeah.
week.
Well, thanks, Kristen. And I will be watching. I love this. Love it. Love the podcast idea, the name. It's awesome.
Thank you. And if you're looking for Anne, you can find her at The Full Hand and on LinkedIn. And she's an excellent affiliate manager and friend. So I highly recommend you reach out to her and she won't say no.
We'll see. Yeah. Please do. Please send me a message.
All right. Thank you so much.
Okay.